Hey everybody, Colin DeCheshin here with Heads Up Plant Protectants. Today we have a sports question for everybody on our product. Let's get to it. So today's question, a bit of a sports analogy, is Heads Up an offensive or a defensive strategy when it comes to managing soybean disease? Are we playing offense or are we playing defense? It's a great question. Let's get into the weeds. The answer is Heads Up is a defensive strategy for mitigating the risk of yield loss against soybean disease. Being from Canada, we had to throw in the picture of the goaltender. Of course, hockey's our number one sport, and Heads Up is a way to help the plant be more resilient and to better manage the risk of yield loss by taking advantage of the genetics. But let's dip into that a little bit. So when it comes to disease, any agronomist will tell you it comes down to a pyramid with three factors. And keep in mind that for soybeans, disease patterns are totally unpredictable. When it comes to disease in soybeans, you have to have susceptibility. So it has to be a variety that is prone to that disease. For example, when it comes to white mold, corn or cereal crops are not prone to white mold. It's doesn't affect that class of crop, where broadleaf crops like soybeans and legumes are very susceptible to white mold. Second, you have to have the inoculum. So you have to have the starting factor, the fungal pathogen in your soils. And lastly, you have to have the right weather cycles. So humid, wet conditions brings on molds, and fungal diseases, of course, it can be warm conditions, cool conditions. It's not particularly about temperatures so much as it is about rainfall, because what fungal diseases are going to do is make a mushroom that's going to fruit and make spores within the canopy. Heads Up is a defensive way to approach diseases like soybean white mold and STS because it utilizes a unique mode of action called systemic acquired resistance. And this systemic acquired resistance, or SAR activity, works by expressing defense-related genes in the plant prior to infection. And once these genes are being expressed, this expression continues on throughout the growing season, which allows for better utilization of the plant's genetic ability for the rest of the growing season. So lastly, as a pro tip, when it comes to Heads Up being a defensive way to manage fungal diseases in crops like soybeans, you want to consult with your seed dealer and look at the research that the seed company has put out. If you have a known history of a disease like white mold or a known history of a disease like SDS, you want to look at each variety and consider it for the field based on the field history. Here, the breeders for these genetics and these platforms have rated the diseases on a scale of 1 to 5, being susceptible to resistant to white mold. And you're going to want to pick the highest score, obviously, to have the most resistant variety to start. And then Heads Up, utilizing that mode of action called systemic acquired resistance, is going to help to make better utilization and activate the genetics to make that bean even stronger against disease. With that, that's a bit of a short presentation today. Great question. Is Heads Up offensive or defensive? Keep in mind that all seed treatments are proactive approaches, and it's really hard to rely on reactionary approaches to managing soybean disease. To learn more about Heads Up, visit us online at headsupst.com or give us a shout at 1-866-368-9306.